Thomas was waiting impatiently for Bertie to arrive. We're late! Come on! Where can he be? He doesn't realise that the fat controller depends on...
Now, Thomas, remember, Bertie once had to take your passengers when your fireman was ill, and he had to catch Edward's train too. You can depend on him. Be patient, dear. He'll be here.
Thomas grinned. He realised his two coaches knew just what to say. Look, Thomas, I see something red in the distance. That must be Bertie now. That's not Bertie, surely not. However, they soon realised it wasn't Bertie. Thomas was suddenly very anxious for his friend. When the bus came round, Thomas confronted him. Where's Bertie?
Thomas, he was only trying to deliver the passengers.
Bertie? Oh, you must mean that pile of junk I saw on the roadside. Trust me, he won't be in service anytime soon.
What do you mean?
Oh, you'll soon see. By the way, the least you could have done is thanked me for delivering your passengers. How ungrateful of you.
Who does he think he is?
Never mind him, Thomas, it's time we got going.
Thank goodness that's over.
How dare he say that about Bertie? How dare he?
You know, Thomas, you weren't that nice to him either. We know you're upset about Bertie, but that bus is only doing what he has to.
When they reached the station, Thomas's driver got out to speak to the station master about Bertie. Good morning. Do you know anything about Bertie? Thomas is very worried about him. I'm sorry to say this, mate. Last I heard, it didn't sound too good. He's not a young bus anymore, and they say his engine has given up the ghost.
Given up the ghost?
Rubbish! It's not the first time Bertie has broken down. I'm sorry, Thomas, but it's more serious than you realise. I know how much he means to you, but he will probably need a new engine. Come on, Thomas, time to leave. If we're lucky, we'll catch James's connection at the junction. When Thomas reached the junction, James had already left. Ugh, we missed him. It's all our boss's fault. Never mind, Thomas. Can't be helped. Anyway, maybe some of your passengers will want to travel on Gordon's Local.
Gordon's Local?
I'll never get used to hearing that. After Thomas ran round his train for the return journey, Gordon arrived. Good morning, Thomas. Gordon then noticed Thomas was upset. Is everything alright, Thomas? I met James earlier, and he said you were running late. Don't let it get you down, Thomas. It can happen to anyone. Thank you, Gordon, but that's not it. Thomas then told Gordon all about Bertie. Poor fellow. I'm so sorry to hear that. I really do hope they can repair him. Every day, I look around and realise that most of us have more than stood the test of time.
What if they can't repair Bertie? Would he end up in a museum? Surely the fat controller won't allow that to happen. If anything like that happened, I don't know what I'd do.
Thomas, let me tell you something. Look around you. We have all had to make changes at one time or another. We can't give up just because things aren't the way we want them to be. We must persevere. Later, Thomas met up with Percy and told him all about the bus.
Oh, so that's why I haven't seen Bertie today? I think I saw the double-decker earlier on, but I thought that was a tour or something. I had no idea Bertie was ill.
I would rather Terence took Bertie's passengers than him. Terence? What's he supposed to be? A wheelbarrow? Ha 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 ha. Given how backward you are, that would all make perfect sense. As time wore on, things were no better between Thomas and the bus. Thomas could only seethe with fury every time he saw him. Neither had anything pleasant to say to the other. To make matters worse, Thomas wasn't concentrating as well as he should have been, and his passengers did not like the rough handling. Annie and Clara will grumble dreadfully, as Thomas sometimes overran the platform or started too quickly.
Thomas, pay attention! You might have hurt your passengers.
Percy and Toby were worried.
I say, Toby, what are we to do about this? The passengers don't like it. I saw Thomas over on the platform earlier on. It's just one thing after enough with him and that bus.
I'd like to have a word with both of them together, but I can't be everywhere at once. Can't say if it would make a difference anyway.
Do you think Bertie will be coming back?
Percy, even if he is, that won't change what's right in front of us. I think back to the days of the closure of my line. Yes, there was light at the end of the tunnel, but before all that, I thought my days were numbered. There was no escaping, till the door finally swung open.
What are you saying?
We can only hope things will get better. One morning Thomas was to wait for the bus to deliver his passengers, but today, the bus was later than ever.
If he thinks he's better than Bertie, he can deliver his passengers without me. I can't be kept waiting for him.
Thomas suddenly began to move. Whoa there! What are you trying to do? His driver applied the brakes before he could go any further. Thomas, what did you think you were doing? That's exactly what I want to know. Thomas, I am very disappointed in you. I heard what you said. I have also been hearing complaints about rough handling from your passengers, which is why I came here today. I was hoping I wouldn't have to take action, but after what you tried to do, I see now that something must be done.
But sir,
Till further notice, I shall arrange for Percy to look after Annie and Clarabelle. You can look after his trains.
But sir, do you mean now?
Of course I don't mean now. Percy is away. Now, wait for your passengers. I don't need you making them later still. Get this train to the junction, and you may swap over when you get back. Only when you see sense will I let you take passengers again. With that, the Fat Controller walked sternly away.
He didn't even mention anything the boss said to me.
Or what you've been saying to him. Why would the Fat Controller know? That's not what the passengers complained about. When Thomas came back, as ordered, Percy was waiting to take over, and so it was arranged. Thomas would now be looking after Percy's trains, while Percy looked after Annie and Clarabelle. While taking Percy's goods trains, Thomas now had a lot to think about. He realised how wrong he had been, and he wanted a chance to set things right. The other engines did their best not to cause any further disturbances. Much to their surprise, the bus didn't bother any of them. Toby was not pleased with what the boss had said about Bertie, but he knew Thomas had only made matters worse. All the same, Toby felt sorry for Thomas, and hoped the fat controller would forgive him soon. One evening while Toby was busy shunting, the boss spoke to him. "I have to say, I really enjoy working here. In London I was just another boss. Nobody appreciated me." "You don't feel appreciated? I lost my old line many years ago. Bosses and lorries took my work." "What's your point? You're here now." "Yes, I am here now, but I am still the last of my class. They weren't as lucky as me. Being appreciated doesn't mean being gawked at all day. You should feel lucky to be needed." "Do you honestly think I don't know that? I know that if Bertie's repaired, my time is up. You bosses have already taken my line of work in London. What's left for me? I'm only surplus to requirements. That's it. How long will that last?" "You're not a new boss?" "Sadly, no. If you see the new ones, I'm not. I don't meet regulations anymore." "I had no idea." "How could you? It's not your problem." The next morning, Thomas was taking his goods train, when his driver noticed something in the distance. "Look over there, Thomas. I think there's been an accident up ahead." "We better warn that bus. If we don't, he is going to be late." "Good idea, Thomas. With any luck, maybe we'll see him along the road. The least I can do is help the passengers. I won't let them down again." Thomas had stopped at a goods station. While waiting for some of his trucks to be unloaded, he saw the bus driving out of a nearby village. "There's something I need to tell you." "What do you want?" "There has been a collision outside for Farquhar. If you go towards Farquhar, you might get stuck till the road is clear. Please tell your driver that any passengers going along the branch should be left at Hackenbeck. If you do this, my driver will telephone to let Percy know." "Rubbish! Why would I listen to you? You've been nothing but trouble for me. Unlike you, I take pride in my work. Mind your own business." "No! You've got to listen! I'm telling you, you can't go that way!" Try as he might, Thomas knew he had to give up. The boss wasn't listening. "I tried to help him. I really did." Sure enough, the bus came up to the accident on the road. "I don't believe it. He was telling the truth. I should have listened." "Not too late to turn back, is it?" "No, mate, we can't. There's a lorry coming up behind us. It's gonna be very difficult for him to reverse. In any case, it would be too dangerous on a country road. Neither of us would be able to see very well behind. Sorry, mate, but we're gonna have to stay where we are." "No. I really don't fancy our chances if others are still trying to get up here. Goodness only knows what'll be behind us next. How hard can it possibly be to move a couple of cars? This type of thing always happens. We have to wait forever." After the drivers were questioned and the police had finished their investigations, both cars were eventually taken away. By now, the bus had missed Percy, and the passengers were having to get a later train. Percy had been informed by control about the bus being held up, and he could not wait any longer. The passengers were not happy about being late, but they didn't complain. They hadn't realised that the bus had ignored Thomas's advice. "Thomas, there's something you should know. Is it about Bertie? No, it's about that bus. Things aren't what they seem. What do you mean? I thought he was up to date when he first came. He is not old-fashioned like Bertie, but in London he has actually had his work taken from him by more modern bosses. I know how he feels. It feels really strange to hear you say that. Even after all these years, I never thought of Bertie as vintage. Of course not. Your friendship is timeless. You know, Toby, what happened between me and that boss wasn't right. He had no excuse to say what he did about Bertie, but it was wrong of me to take my frustration out on him. It wasn't his fault. Gordon told me that sometimes we have to accept change no matter what. I wanted Bertie back so badly that I let everything get the better of me. I let everyone down. Thomas, it's never too late to do the right thing. It pleases me so much to hear you say that. We both know that if Bertie was to come back, he would always have a home here. But that boss, he has an uncertain future. We must do our best to make him feel welcome wherever we can. Thomas, may I speak to you? Of course, what is it? I, just wanted to say thank you for trying to help me the other day. I really should have listened to you. I couldn't get through for ages. If I had listened to you in the first place, all of this could have been avoided. I wouldn't be much credit to the railway if I didn't try to help. You can't say I didn't warn you. I heard you missed Percy's train. Good thing only me and my crew know why. We never mentioned it to anyone. Wait a minute. Why didn't you? I thought you hated me. The way I see it, I have acted disgracefully towards you. It wouldn't have done any good telling anyone else. I didn't want to embarrass you further. I'm sure it was bad enough being late. If I didn't try to warn you, you would have been late anyway. It's just a lesson, that's all. We live and learn. We live and learn. I also want to apologise for how I spoke to you when we first met. It wasn't right, and I am so sorry. I hope you can forgive me. I would like to apologise too. I am sorry for what I said about Bertie. I know that to you, he is more than a mere boss. He is a friend. I should not have been so vindictive to you either. But you must understand that I did not like being disrespected. I was just doing my job. Listen, we can only work together if we can trust the other. Do you think we can start over? Of course. For the first time since Thomas and the boss had met, they had finally settled their differences. One thing that's been bothering me is, if Bertie comes back, where will you go? What will you do? Toby told me about your situation. It's just not fair. Also, do you have a name? They never gave me a name. Too many of us in London. Whatever my fate will be, I have to accept it. There's nothing more you can do. For now, let's just live in the moment. We can begin anew from here. From that day on, Thomas and the boss were soon working together with no further problems. The Fat Controller had also forgiven Thomas and allowed him to take Annie and Clarabelle again. Annie and Clarabelle were delighted as they had missed Thomas very much. One of Thomas's usual runs, he was waiting patiently at the station for the bus. but he would be greeted by a familiar face instead.
Bertie? Is it really you?
Thomas, do you need to go to the works? You know it's me, right? I guess they got you a new engine after all. You never change. Well, don't. I can't imagine the branch without you. The two friends were soon laughing together and exchanging their news. Well, even with your new engine, you'll always be a vintage bus to me. Hopefully now you'll have many years of great running.
Vintage?
Thomas, you're the one getting old. You didn't even recognise me. I would like to have another race, but how can you expect to win if you don't even know who I am? You'll never catch me now, Thomas. One of these days, Bertie, we will have another race. Just don't tell the Fat Controller. While Thomas was very pleased to have Bertie back, he could not stop thinking about the other bus. He was worried about him. He wondered what would become of him. Would he be scrapped if he was no longer needed in London? Such a thought was unimaginable. Thomas could not dismiss the feeling that things did not bode well for the bus. It wouldn't be till many months later that Thomas would finally find out. One morning before they were to start work, Thomas's driver brought in a newspaper to show Thomas. Thomas, do you remember him?
Oh my goodness! I don't believe it! It's him! What's he up to now?
I believe he now belongs to a preservation group. Someone must have bought him. They'll be having a bus rally in Sodor later on this month.
Really? What is a bus rally?
I believe it's an event where buses are gathered together for enthusiasts.
Well, what do you know about that? He seems to have done alright after all. I would love to get another chance to talk to him.
You never know, Thomas. You might get your chance. Thomas could only smile and hoped he would.